Welcome to Engine Adventures off-road review. Sorry for the wind of this 2022 Nissan Frontier Pro-4x. We're not going to hang out outside here for very long because it's windy, rainy, messy day. But let's go ahead. We'll go through all our normal testing. I'm loving that this thing doesn't have a ton of features that I have to test. It's a basic truck with plenty of capability. Let's get into it. We are in 4 high just because, sorry, right here. And we're gonna go ahead and see how it does on the high-speed off-road. Again, it's a little different, just like it was last week with the Rubicon, because of how much rain we've been getting. So let's see if we can hit that 20 miles an hour without losing that camera on the rear. It's shaking like crazy. I feel like I might be fishing through a puddle for it. All right, so that's about 18, 19 miles an hour. It's pretty bumpy, but no bottoming out yet. It's hard to hit 20 with all these puddles. And see how little water is getting on the windshield and roof compared to that Rubicon. So much better having the wheels not stick out past the side. So we're 25 miles an hour now and doing just fine. So, oh, one bottom out at 25. So, like I said, the water makes a big difference on this. We're not hitting the bumps like we normally would, but still 20 to 25 definitely passes what I consider an off-roader should be able to do, and only had one bottom out at around 25. Oh, there was another one. It seems to top out, and I did notice that on the way in. It seemed to top out a little bit more. The bottom out was okay, but for some reason going the other way, it doesn't have a lot of down travel. Independent front suspension does that for you, I guess. Let's get 1 or 2 outside shots, and then we'll move on to the small articulation test hill. Real quick, I wanted to show you the articulation. So that wheel is off the ground. I can push it up and down pretty easy. So that means this is probably stuffed as much as it will go, which is not too bad. It's not Tacoma TRD Pro levels of articulation, but probably TRD off-road in that range. You can see how much droop there is there. So not too bad. And then full stuff there on the front. And of course, that one you have to be able to turn still, so there's gonna be a little bit of extra room on there.
In two-wheel drive with the traction control on, it really cuts engine power. And some of this was me at first trying to modulate the throttle, but then I started going full throttle, and this is about all you get. So the traction control system is pretty aggressive and really stops the wheels from spinning and doesn't even allow it to transfer power side to side because it cuts the engine so much. Now with traction control off, there's a big difference. It actually lets it spin the wheels pretty freely. It still does break the spinning wheel a little bit to transfer power side to side, but not very much. I know I've mentioned this before in other videos when it's wet out, but I actually have a lot more traction when it's wet than I do when it's dry, and that really shows here. It lifts the wheel there in 4-wheel drive, but hardly even has to use the brakes at all. Even if it did, it may not have used the brakes at all to make it up that. Now with traction control off, we're going to see similar results. I have a little bit more control because it's not cutting engine power at all, but ultimately the articulation is good enough that I really didn't have any problem making this climb in 4-wheel drive. Shifting into 4-wheel drive low, traction control and stability control are automatically disabled, but again, this little hill is no match for the new Frontier Pro-4x. The rear differential lock can only be engaged when you are in 4 low, and so here we are with 4-wheel drive rear diff locked. Of course, the hill is so easy that you don't really even have to lock the rear diff, but it does work.
We are in four-wheel drive high. Right there, locked, four-wheel drive high. Traction control and stuff, all that stuff's on. It's just as if you just shifted into four-wheel drive high without doing anything else. And we'll do the hard line. It's slightly easier, but yeah, I mean, there's still big holes there. I am currently full throttle. So, interesting. Go ahead and hit the traction control off button. Now you can see right there, traction control is off. Much more wheel spin. I'm at 2,500 RPM, barely touching the throttle. And full throttle at 2,500 RPM. It was a workout, but able to do it. Okay.
All of the recent rainstorms have actually smoothed out the hill quite a bit, so all the low spots have been filled in and the high spots have been washed down a little bit. So this is a little bit easier than it has been in the past, but you can still get a pretty good test out of it. And you can see here with traction control on in four-wheel drive high, it just can't make the climb because it's cutting so much engine power. I take the second here, go ahead and flip traction control off, and then we'll watch from here, but you see a world of difference. One thing to note is that the ABLS braking system or traction control system is less aggressive in four-wheel drive high than it is in four-wheel drive low, which means for soft surfaces, if you're in four-wheel drive high, digging through mud, sand, that kind of thing, then it will work really well. And then if you're rock crawling and doing slow speed maneuvers, then you want to be in four-wheel drive low where the system is much more aggressive.
So now, we're going to try this. So to shift to four-wheel drive low, put your transmission in neutral, push in, twist to 4 low, and right in. Good. So I was having a few struggles. This is, again, a pre-production unit, and there are going to be some little issues like that they're still working out, but yeah, that time it went in no problem. Okay, we're going to lock this into first gear. Just pull that over. Manual first gear right there. Maybe that's a better angle. And no feet. A little bit scary because I don't know what it's gonna do. And the speedometer is not even registering, even on the steepest part. Oh, took off a little bit there. There is some pop on the front suspension. I'm not sure what that's from, but not a big deal. Like I said, pre-production unit. These things are to be common. I guess they're common in these pre-production units. They get it out to the journalists so we can test them and give you guys good information, but there will be some little flaws like that. But man, I'll put the crawl ratio up on the screen. I think it's pretty darn high in this thing. I want to say 55 to 1, but that might have been, yeah, I want to say it's something like that. Anyway, I'll put that up on the screen. I love driving these off-road vehicles because the approach, departure, breakover angles, not much to worry about. I can just drive it. So even here, that little hill, the ABLS system was kicking in. Think of it as Toyota's A-Track, Jeep's, I don't know what Jeep calls their brake lock differential or something like that. That's, anyway. But yeah, you can hear the ABS running, hear the brakes grabbing and letting go, and I'm just barely on the throttle. I'd say 10%. That's the steepest, worst part. And four-wheel drive low, being barely on the throttle, that is no problem at all. Looks like I need to clean off the front camera though. Okay, I believe that's it. This does have downhill assist right there, but as you saw, the gearing on this thing, if you're in four-wheel drive low, you don't really need to use it.
What I want you to watch in this section of the video is how aggressive the ABLS system is and how quickly it transfers power side to side in four-wheel drive low. The steam coming off of the front was just from driving through the puddles earlier. The engine ran great, never had any issues. Coolant was still completely full after I did all my testing and all that stuff. Engine was in perfect condition. Starting at the front, we have the steel bash plate there, skid plates all the way, everything's tucked up nicely, and it's just really well protected. The gas tank hangs down a tiny bit, but covered by a steel skid plate as well. I mean, everything in there is just kind of tucked up and out of the way and protected otherwise, so it's really well protected.
About to do something stupid here. We're gonna drive through this puddle. It's pretty deep. I did it in the Rubicon, but it's pretty darn deep. So we're in 4 low, rear diff's locked, create a little bit of a bow wave, and drive through it. Pretty darn deep.
This just shows the importance of creating a decent bow wave. So you can see the water gets about to the top of the rim, but at the front bumper, it's up, you know, at the top of the front bumper. But none of that water is actually going into the grill because that's just the bow wave that's being pushed in front of it, and it actually protects the vehicle. It keeps water from getting into the engine bay. And that does it for the 2022 Nissan Frontier Pro-4x. I really love this vehicle. The engine and transmission are an excellent combination. It drives much better than the Ranger or the Tacoma. The Gladiator is kind of in a class of its own, but in my opinion, this is the best midsize truck. And I have heard a lot of other journalists complain about it, saying it's really not that great, it didn't do anything revolutionary, but to me, it's a very solid, basic truck, very capable, and overall, I just loved it. If you liked what you saw, be sure to hit subscribe, ring the bell so you get notifications, and give me a thumbs up and comment down below. If you didn't like it, give me a thumbs down, but be sure to comment down below and let me know why, and let me know what else you would like to see. Thanks for watching, have a great day.